Everybody. So welcome to our IT490 class. And here we have a project proposal. Just a reminder that we're working on our Moonface API. Um, we're group name group 0, and our group members are Sai, Anthony, myself, Heber, and Alan. Our project type, of course, it's a web. We're going to be working on a website, which we will be showing shortly in a couple minutes. And our current project summary and goal, just a reminder, what we're working on is that this project is basically using a Moonface API to, display the faces of the moon. And we're also going to be throwing some extra information in there, such as zodiac signs, moonrise and moonset times, illumination percentage, and visibility locations. And of course, this website is designed for moon enthusiasts to compare the moon phase and zodiac sign with the birthday and location to receive curated information. Basically, this website allows the users that are interested in the different moon phases to be able to connect with each other and just talk about, just what they like seeing about the moon phases, right? Moving on to the actual project itself. If you bear with me here 1 minute. Okay, so here we have an example of this is our index for our website. Currently, we have all the files listed out that we have been working on. We have a couple here, and we're gonna get right into the project. Starting off with the homepage. When we click on the home file, right? Of course, you have to be logged in, right? So the way we design the website is you cannot go into a homepage without being logged in. So we're just gonna hit OK real quick, and boom, there we go. We have our first page here, which is the login page. Um, we have our title. Welcome back, Moon enthusiasts. Right? We try to do something nice, something that catches the user's attention. Um, Please log in to access personalized moonface information and about the zodiac insights. Right? We have the user login. We start with the email. The user will come in. Okay, let me put in my email. Proceed as such. Then next they have the password. They'll come in, put in their password, and they will go ahead and log right in. Um, if we take this out, of course, it instantly it lets you know, like, hey, you gotta fill out this field, right? You can't move on without filling out the field. Um, Anthony, Cy, and Alan will be going more in depth into the actual coding behind these elements, the back end. This is more of the front end side, which I worked on. And then, of course, if you don't have an account, there's a spelling error here that I gotta fix. But if you don't have an account and you sign up and you click on here, we have a link directly, letting the user click on there, and boom, it sends them into the register page. You gotta register, right? So welcome, moon enthusiasts, and then we have a little here. Do you love the moon? Because I sure do. If so, you're in the right place. Create an account to track moon phases, view your own personal horoscope, see the moonrise and set times, and much more, right? Then we go, user registration, just letting them know what they're doing on here on this page. Uh, we go again into the username, right? They'll come in, fill it in, boom, boom, boom. Come in here, fill in the email, uh, fill in their password, whatever that is. And of course, you got to have, as always, your confirmed password, right? And then they'll come here and just click on register. Um, Now I'm going to take you over real quickly into the moon phase section, right? This is the moon data fetcher that we have. We have our mission statement, letting just the user know why this website is what it is, right? Welcome to the moonface.club. We're passionate about the moon, just like you. Our mission is to connect moon enthusiasts from around the globe, sharing experiences and fostering a vibrant community of lunar lovers. Join us in celebrating the beauty and wonders of the moon. And then immediately after that, we're followed up with an instruction just to let the user know how this works. So to get started, please enter your latitude and longitude to fetch the current moon phase for your location. And if you're unsure of your coordinates, you can find them using an online map service or a GPS enabled device. Now this part right here, it was important that we added this second part here to the message, because we don't want the user to just get lost, right, if they don't know their latitude or longitude. Because me personally, I don't even know what my latitude or longitude is right now at this moment, right? So this message is important, just letting them know like, hey, listen, if you don't know um, what your current coordinates are, go to Google, go to another page, find that out, and come back and fill out this information, right? Because we don't want the user to be lost, right? So we want to give them all the tools to be able to go throughout the website. Um, the latitude, they'll come here, plug in their points, come here, plug in the longitude, they'll click on fetch wound data, and this will obviously go into our database and pull it out. Cy Anthony and Alan will be going more into in depth with this side. I want to hop over real quickly also onto the home page that I was working on. So as you can see, the home page looks a little different from the login and the registration, but it's still a work in progress. We're trying to make sure everything, at the end for the final project is going to look a little more similar. But this is also another page that I worked on. For the front end, we have, moonface.club. And then really important, right? In the center, we have this table here displaying an image of the moon, right? Which is going to correspond to with the moon face that you're associated with, right? In the location that you're at. Then we have a moon face, the moon phase title, right? Whatever it is, full moon, a crescent moon, whatever that is, right? Then you have your illumination, 99% here, the moonrise time, the moonset time, the next full moon, and just a small quick description. Something nice to catch the user's attention here. For example, here we put the full moon rises high in the sky, illuminating the night with its bright glow. It's a perfect time for moon gazing and reflection, right? Just something nice and short and sweet, so the user can see that, and it's good to always grasp whoever's looking at the site. Moving on here, we have three buttons. We have our profile options and log out. As you can see, we have also the hover over, which is very nice. I like it. When we click on the profile, immediately takes you into the profile on top. Create a user profile to access some cool features and find out more about your personal horoscope. Click on the moon for the profile menu. I added an animated moon here. Something nice. Again, you always want to attract the user's attention. You don't want to lose them with anything crazy. So as you can see, the page is kind of blank, but it's just this big moon, right? Just pulsating back and forth, just letting them know like, hey, there's something here. If you put your mouse here, something's gonna happen, right? So when we put our mouse over the moon, the menu comes up, the profile menu comes up. Um, First, of course, we got the username, which is blank or not because nobody's logged in. We have our email, which is also blank, right? Because we're not logged in. We have our date of birth, so they'll come in here, plug in their date of birth, boom, boom, boom. The location, they'll come in here, right? Depending on what they put on the fetch moon data, the location would appear here. And of course, with all profile changes, with all profile pages, sorry, you gotta have a change password setting, right? So we have, plug in your current password, then you're gonna go into your new password, and then obviously you gotta confirm that new password, right? Just to though make sure we're taking all the precautions so everybody is cool with the changes. We have three buttons here, which will be the update profile once everything is done, right? Then we have back to the home, as you guys can see, and we go back to profile. Lastly, we have the log out. So if we just click on here, log out, and then of course, always a hover, right, just to make sure you can see where you're uh, going over those buttons. Go and log out, and then boom, there you have it, and you get a nice message. You have successfully logged out, right? And then of course you have a here just to return back to home, so we can just for easier usage, but the actual user would not have a return to home button because they logged out. But this is just for me to make it easier. Um, yeah, so now let's just dive a little bit deeper into the actual coding here. So this is their standard CSS file here. You guys can see on GitHub, we're working on the MVP midterm branch, right? As the professor said, we don't really want to be working on that main branch, right? If we work on that main branch, that means that any type of errors or any updates are going to go live on there, and that's no good. So this is all happening on the MVP midterm branch, which is a separate branch from our main. And just to start off real quickly, we have the body, right, which is contains the majority of the styling for the body of the pages, which is just consists of just your standard font, background color, color of font, the margins, the display, the flex, alignment. Um, Moving on down, right? Quickly on here, we have the moon container. Now the moon container is important, right? The moon container is this part right here, specific for the homepage, which is, you can see this nice table that has all this information here that we will be gathering from the database, pulling from the database. Uh, this is what the moon container is, and basically you see how it has borders, it has the fonts, it has sizes, even um, it has a specific alignment. So all of those options are on here with the moon and the moon container. We have a height, the moon itself, which is the image, right? You can see the image is not just a regular thing. We have I put a nice little border around there, right? Something nice. Just as always, you want to really uh, be able to not only make your website look simple, but you also want it to look nice, right? To a certain degree. The moon hover, which is very important for the profile page here, is this animation that you see, something very cool, something that catches the user's attention on there, right? So quickly, we're just gonna keep on moving on through here. This is a lot of standard just formats, right? You have the profile menu, right? You have things like border radius, right? The position, the display, the fonts, the color, and the width, padding for the borders, the profile menu label, the profile menu, all the buttons, every single button, they're all customized, right? They have padding, they have width, they have borders. Profile menu again. We have the background color. We're gonna keep moving down here. The headers. Now I want to get onto the headers. The headers are key. Headers are key for a website. As you can see, all of our headers, right? Nice, big. They have a glow to them. Headers are important. They're what guide the users into knowing where they at within the website. If we go on here, you can see the home is really big, right? It's all big, blue glow, letting you know, hey, you're in the home page right now. If you go profile, hey, you're in the profile page right now. Um, when we go here, hey, this is the moon data fetcher, the register. Hey, welcome moon enthusiasts. You see, and you see that glow. You see how when you stare at it long enough, you see how the glow is like kind of changing. That's again just to grab the user's attention. Something nice, but something that also adds just a little bit of flavor to the site, right? All sites need a little bit of flavor. Um, so it's just little things like that that, believe it or not, make a huge difference within the site. Which is this right here, the add keyframes glow. This is a text here that um, this is what we implemented to add the glow effect of the animation here of the shadow in the background that puts the glow in there. Very cool. I didn't know this, so this was very cool for me to find out. Just kind of looked it up online and through some videos, and I found out how to do it. So it's very, very nice. Some more headers, and then we keep moving down, and then of course the main container, mission statement, and the general instructions, the moon form label, and we keep moving down, welcome text, profile form, and this is just standard just CSS, font size, colors, and just everything that makes the website look nice. uh, but as always, it doesn't only need to look nice, it also has to function properly. So now I'm gonna pass it on to my teammate Anthony, which is gonna he's gonna talk a little bit more in depth about what's really happening here behind the scenes. So thank you.
Thank you, Heber. All right, so being with the IT490 project, we had to set up a message broker as a service between the database and the app server and also the API. There's a certain process that happens when a user submits a login, a registration, they update their profile, or they fetch Moon data. And what happens, I'll demonstrate right here. I'll log in with my account. Well, first, actually, we're going to register with one. I'll show you how the registration form works. We're going to create a new user. Real quick. And when this register button is clicked, the user is registered and now they are able to log in. So if I re-enter these details, there you go. And on the home page, Heber demonstrated the beautiful layout that he had that we're working on. But for now, we just gather the session ID and display which user is logged in at the current time. So now they're able to access their profile page. And in this page, they can update their information, such as this. They enter their username. Their email is already displayed. We have to fix the username. That should also be displayed as well. But they're going to enter their current password, enter their new password, and then they're going to update this additional information, which we would like to integrate with the horoscope and the location for visibility regions as well. So this information will be important as well. But when you click the update profile button, your profile is updated just like that. Sai will show you what the database works. I'm going to show you real quick what happens with the message broker service and how the app server communicates with that. So first, on the login front page, you'll see that when the user submits the button, they'll be redirected to process login, and in that form, you will notice that this is where the RabbitMQ client is created, and the message is sent over to the RabbitMQ for the database to consume and then process from there. So the first line includes external files for path configuration, host information, and RabbitMQ client functionality. This line right here creates a new Rabbit client class instance using the configuration file testrabbitmq.ini to connect to the test server. Then it'll check if the request method is post, which it is, and retrieve the form data, providing default values if any fields are missing. This array contains the logic data to be sent to the RabbitMQ server. It includes the email, password, role, and type identifier, the type identifier is extremely important when it comes to processing the request. Next, it sends the message to the RabbitMQ server and stores a response. And based on the response's code, which is handled by Sai and his DB server, it'll redirect the user to the home page, or it'll display an error message. Next, we have this user is logged in as an admin. So this is also in the works as of now. The admin is going to be able to create a phase name, create a moon phase, and then that data will be submitted to the database moon phase tables, and as well as the user activities, whether they log in, they register, or they update their profile. That information will also be displayed. Now I'm going to pass it over to Sai to continue with the database side and the RabbitMQ server.
I'll be going over the DB side. So first, I'd like to show the consumer file. So as you can see that the server started, and you'll see that the first request for registering has been submitted, sent over the queue, and then the login attempt to show, and then as it goes for further, it'll show that the update profile request has been sent to. So now I'll be showing the code for, but first I'll go over the SQL table and show that the new user has been inserted. So you'll see that new at email.com with the name as Anthony. The all default accounts are created with the role of user on unless they are specified separately in the SQL query with the admin role. And you'll see in the new email that Europe has been updated as location and the birth date. So now I'll go over the DB server file that handles the message catching. So first it requires the usual MQ files, and it'll show the it'll first request the files that handle the DB handling for login, the handling for register profile, uh, Moonapia stuff like that, and it'll specify the function call in the switch case where if the client set the type as, let's say, register, then the client will be sending data towards the, it would insert the data as parameters in the register function, and in the register function db handling, as you can see here, it'll insert username, email, password accepted from the parameters into the DB values for the red for the users table, and then after it executes, it'll return the statement saying that the registration was successful. For the login, it's a bit different because it'll select the ID, email, username, and password to retrieve the information, and that information will be compared with the user inputs on the front end. So here it'll accept email, and I'll select ID, email, username, password, and role from users where email is the same as the value in the table. It'll execute the statement. This block will fetch the values, and it'll check if the password that was accepted from the parameters is equivalent to the password in the table for that email. It'll then retrieve the role of that user, and it'll return the information in the return message to the client. It'll return the email and role. For the update profile, it's basically like the same thing, but for the parameters, it'll be accepting username, email, basically all the information in the profile page. It'll trim the white spaces, and then it'll select password from email. This is this if statement is similar to what's found in login, where it'll verify the current password with the password given in the parameters. And if that's successful, it'll then update the user information where the email provided is the same as the email in the table. It'll also update the password with the current password with the new password, and then it'll return the message saying profile updated successfully. So Anthony did go over the moon phases, and I'll be showing how the moon phases is inserted. So this is still, so I'll be going over how the duplicate entries are checked. So to check the duplicate entries, it'll first select from moon phase, and it'll check if the phase name from the parameters is the same as the phase name in the table, and then it'll execute the statement, and it'll check if it'll check if the phase name is equivalent to the phase name in the table, and then it'll if it is, it'll return a message saying that a duplicate entry is detected and the insert failed for the phase name. So moving on. If there are no duplicate entries, then it'll insert the phase name stage, days until next full moon, days until next new moon, into the values in the table. So it'll then bind it like with the values specified in the parameters with the values in the table. After that has been executed, if it was successful, it'll return a message with code 1, and then the message will say moon phase data successfully inserted for the phase name. If not, it'll say the return code 0 and no data is inserted. In this try catch statement, if there's any other issue that is not in the log messages, the PDO exception will catch it, and it'll say an error occurred and to check the logs. So I'll be showing the SQL table for the moon phases. So these are the tables. I'll be showing the moon phases table right now. So as of now, there is one record called waning crescent as a phase name, stage as waning, days until next full moon is 19, days until next new moon is 4. So the reason why there's so many null entries here is because the data retrieval from the RabbitMQ consumer file and inserting it into the table is a work in progress. So the data is retrieved, but it inserts null values because it's technically reading from the MQ, but at the same time it's not actually receiving any values. So I'll be going over the Moon API. So this Moon API is how the app will retrieve data from the database and insert it into the client file. So it'll look through the phase name stage, and then days until next full moon. Basically, all the columns in the moon phase table, based on the moon phase, it'll select that record. Then it'll fetch the result, and the result will get appended to these variables here for phase name stage, and then days until next full moon. After that, these variables will be appended to the return code message 1, which means that it was successful. it'll have a message for moon phase data successfully retrieved. It'll show the stage to show that the data was successfully pulled. And then it'll have separate variables for moon phase, stage, days until next full moon, and days until next new moon. Now I will be passing it off to Alan.
So my role is to handle the API side of the web server, and I'll just give a quick rundown of the code. So this is our consumer file that we use to fetch data from the API. We use a fetch moon data function that takes parameters of latitude and longitude, which, like Haber showed, the users input that on the moon fetch data webpage. Those are the parameters. It's the parameters, the latitude and longitude functions, and then added into the API URL. As of right now, we're using the basic URL, which the moon phase API is right here. When using the basic URL, the basic endpoint, we get moon phase name, stage, days until next full moon, and days until the next new moon. We were considering doing the advanced, which would allow us to show more details to the user, such as illumination, the lunar cycle, moonrise, moonset, which is already there, distance, as well as sunrise, sunset times, and all of this, which would be better for the website, but it would take a lot of time to input this data into the database, as Sai was just showing us. So yes, the code uses the basic endpoint, fetches that data. This function right here, it constructs the API URL. We embed the latitude and longitude values into the string, and we initialize the curl session. And it returns the data that we fetched as a JSON that we need to decode, which Sai does in his end as the database, and it's sent back to the app server and displayed on the web screen, which I'll give a demonstration of later. This function right here is the request processor function. It listens for data incoming from the client side, which would be the app virtual machine, which when the button is hit to submit the longitude and latitude data, it is basically sent here. It creates a new client that listens on the RabbitMQ side. The client that takes this data and puts it in the API RMQ queue, which is configured in here in the API RMQ.ini, which has this is the IP to the RMQ server, and that's where Sai's database picks up the data and he inputs it into his database and then sends it back to the app. This script is also set to run on its own, and every time my virtual machine starts, it'll run the script so users can send input whenever. So just a quick rundown of how that would look. We go to the webpage home, like Haber showed, you can't really go to the home page without creating an account. I had previously created an account, log in, put my username in, password, and we'll register. All right, let's go back to the moon phase data fetcher. Right here, we would input longitude, latitude, and we would send the data in, and it would return us this. So based on the longitude and latitude I sent in, it's a waning crescent in that area. Stage is waning. Days until next full moon is 18 days, and the days until the next new moon is 3 days. So with the advanced API, with the advanced endpoint, we would have much more data here that would be able to display in a well-oriented for users to read and access other features that we plan to deliver for the final deliverable. So that's all we have for the midterm, and we plan to implement the remaining features for the final demo.